So good evening, good afternoon. My name is Renee Turner, and I serve as Vice Provost overseeing the offices of undergraduate admissions and student financial services. I also have the pleasure of being your moderator for today's webinar entitled Common Ground at WashU, a parent and family webinar. Before we go any further, I'd like to start by acknowledging the indigenous culture of Missouri. Washington University and the city of St. Louis are located on the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Osage Nation, Missouri and Illini Confederacy. We honor them as we live, work, and study at WashU. I also want to acknowledge the extraordinary circumstances we find ourselves in together over the past 18 months. At WashU, we know community is really important, and that community extends to you and your family. And I hope that you and your family are doing well during these times. And I hope you know that all of us in the admissions and financial aid offices and across the university, we're here to support you as you navigate the process this year. I'm excited that you have chosen to join us for tonight's conversation, and I'm joined by four of my fantastic campus colleagues, Mark Kimura Jimenez, James McDonald, James Sichler, sorry, James, and Dalen Morris. Our goal this evening is to give you a glimpse into the WashU community and what it's like to be a member of our diverse community. So this session, it really is for you. We want you to get to know us, and we invite you to submit questions so that we may cover those topics that most interest you. You can submit questions to us during the webinar just using the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your screen. We also are joined by several admission staff who are off screen at the moment, but they will help to answer some of the questions behind the scenes. Please know that we're going to try to get to as many questions as we can live, but if you have additional questions beyond what we're able to get to during the webinar, please feel free to reach out to us. And so with that, I'd like to have our panelists briefly introduce themselves. Could you please share your name, title, hometown, and how long you've been affiliated with WashU? And Mark, would you please start us off?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Again, my name is Mark Kimura Jimenez. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. So all of our West Coast folks, hello. And so I have a little bit of allergies because we're having the fall season to come in, so I might have a little bit of sniffly. So that's what that's from. I've been at WashU for almost 2 years now, and I am the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Dean of the Center for Diversity and Inclusion.
James M.
Hello, everyone. My name is James McDonald. I am with the Office of Student Financial Services. So we handle everything financial aid related. And then I have hometown is right here in Florissant, Missouri. And then I've been with Washington University just a little bit north of 27 years.
I like our diversity in time here. It gives a broad perspective. Dalen.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Dalen. I am an admissions counselor in the undergraduate admissions office at WashU. And I'm from Peoria, Illinois, so right smack in the middle of the state. And then I've been at WashU a little over technically 5 years for an undergrad, and then a little over a year in this admissions counselor position.
And finally, James S.
Hi everyone, I am James Schisler, you see him pronouns. I am a coordinator in the Office for Student Success. I am from a small town called St. James, Missouri, about 2 hours outside of St. Louis. And I have been at WashU for a little over 2 years as a staff member and 4 years before that as an undergrad.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. I'm really excited by the conversation that we're going to have tonight. So supporting our students is definitely at the forefront of everything that we do here at WashU. And we've been expanding many of these efforts over the past decade. We also have an unofficial motto here at WashU of getting to know our students by name and story. And that really means that we want to treat you as an individual. as an institution, we are able to provide students with many resources to help you achieve your academic, your professional, and your personal goals. And we hope that we'll be able to highlight many of those resources this evening. So as we look forward to showing you more about WashU, I know that many of you have questions about affordability and aid and financial support for students once they are here on campus. And so I'm going to turn to James now. James, would you please tell our families more about our need-based aid and scholarships and grants?
Sure. Thank you, Renee. So one of the things that we've been doing for a while here at Washington University is we look to meet 100% of financial need for any admitted student. And typically there's two forms that families are going to complete. They'll complete the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Not that you have to memorize that or know that, but that is going to be the common thread at any university that you're looking to apply to. And the other will be the CSS profile, which is through the College Board. And so Washington University will gather those documents, and then from that, it'll create a financial snapshot for your family. And that will show Washington University what the need of your family is. And then we will look to fill 100% of that need. So whether that need is 20,000 or 80,000, we are going to create a financial package to make it possible for you to attend Washington University. We've also added on some supplemental programs as well. So we recognize that some families, $75,000 of income and below, we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to go to school and not have to graduate with financial debt in the student's name. So typically a financial aid package might have around $5,500 in loan funding each year. So what we would typically do for a family of $75,000 or less, we will fill that loan amount of $5,500 and we will give an extra helping of scholarship of $5,500 so that that family does not have to actually borrow funds in their student's name. Another component that we use will be work study. That's typically around $2,500. Although of the students working on campus, only about 25% are through the federal work study program. We also have financial aid for international students, but you will have to fill out the CSS profile. So you have to meet the deadlines for these programs. They will be available on the website through the admissions website, as well as the financial aid website. We also recognize sometimes families coming to an institution, maybe there will be technology needs that you might have. So we will have some things which are called our startup grants. And so they will be funds to help you get that first computer. They will be startup grant funds, which we typically will give a credit to the bookstore to help with purchasing books. And then we also actually give a check to the student so that he or she can go ahead and maybe purchase some materials or some items for their dorm room. Because of course, when we think about college and you want to think about the cost, we talk about thinking about everything from your door to the college door and back again. So those are the costs that the college wants to look to cover or help the family covering depending on the need of each family. Is that a good overview, Renee?
I think it is, James, but I have a follow-up question. In your introduction, you said that you've been at the university, what, 27 years, is that correct? And mostly in financial aid?
So I've had three big stops. So I started in the university libraries, and then I moved over to benefits within the Office of Student Financial Aid. So we have a tuition benefit if you're an employee or professor of the university, and then also work with outside scholarships. And that reminds me, I do want to make one little tip to this group that's watching us tonight. Outside scholarship should be something that you should think about as a student, not just at Washington University, but at any institution. And why do you want to think about those? Well, at Washington University, we will allow outside scholarships to stack on top of any of your financial aid. Sorry about that. Our dog is in the background here, but it will stack on top of your financial aid up until all cost is covered. And in my time in financial aid, I've actually worked with about 9 students now who have funded their entire 4 years, not using any Washington University scholarship money, not using any family money. They just literally covered all of their 4-year costs with outside scholarship funding.
Thank you, James. I appreciate your talking about the outside scholarships. So I know one of the things I hear frequently from applicants is how welcome they feel when they start at WashU and how much they appreciate the thoughtfulness and hands-on approach that advisors and others make as they're transitioning to WashU. So James asks, would you talk a little bit about advising and what supports beyond financial aid our students can expect once they're here?
Absolutely. So I work in the Office for Student Success. On campus, the Office for Student Success is really here to help all students thrive and help eliminate barriers that students may face. The Office for Student Success is a great central point that people can come to help navigate the systems of WashU. There's lots of resources, and the Office for Student Success can help people find the right person to talk to and serve as a connection point for people who need to get a question answered but aren't sure who to ask. We try to be a great first stop for anyone who comes through our door and is needing a little bit of help navigating things. So we do lots of different things in that capacity. One of the pieces that you mentioned was the funding for students after they are on campus and outside of their financial aid package. That comes through a few different funds that we have, most notably what we call the Student Success Fund. That fund can help support students who are going through, who need extra funding for a wide variety of things, whether that is a really exciting professional development opportunity like presenting at a conference that you need to pay to register for or travel to, or things that in really unfortunate situations where maybe a loved one is ill or passes away suddenly and a student needs extra funding to be able to get home, to be with their family, to be with people they need and people who need them. Those are things that the Student Success Fund can help cover and really make sure that people have the opportunity to do what they need and to make the most of their time at WashU. We've also got funds that are dedicated to accessing mental health care through in partnership with a student union and to making sure that all students can access all the different clubs and student groups that are on campus through the Student Union Opportunity Fund. Those funds are there so that students can pay the dues for a club or can purchase the equipment for their club softball team so that they're able to fully participate and really get the full, fulfilling, enriching WashU experience that every person who comes through our doors deserves. So that's one piece of what we do as an office that touches the whole campus. One of the more specific programs we run is the Deneb STARS community. STARS stands for Sustaining Talented Academically Recognized Students. That is a cohort-based program for first generation and low-income students, as measured by students who do not have a guardian who has earned a bachelor's degree at a U.S. institution or are Pell eligible. If they've got a Pell grant in their financial aid package, they will receive outreach about the Deneb STARS community. And this is one of the largest communities on campus. It's over 800 strong this year across the 4 years. With Deneb, we are some of the first people you see when you step on campus through our early arrival program, which is a multi-day orientation program that happens before the rest of orientation starts. Students move in early, and we help to get them adjusted and adapted to WashU and give them the information they need to know. And we also work to get them connected with each other and with our student leadership corps. We have a huge team of student workers who help provide some of that care and advising and one-on-one time to make sure students can have someone that can get their questions answered. That might seem a little silly if they're worried about asking a staff member, where's the best place to eat for lunch? So every student in Deneb is paired with a student mentor. Those students are trained and fellow Deneb STARS. They are there to help guide you through your first year, answer any questions you've got, check in on you, make sure that you're doing all right, and to communicate with the staff in case you may need a little extra support or if something's going on. So that mentorship continues into the sophomore year with a little different programming. And on top of those student mentors, all students also are able to get the staff support from our office. Our staff team has a lot of incredible individuals, and all of us love talking with students and helping people work through their time at WashU and achieve their goals and make the most of their experience. We do a variety of programming opportunities, from fun social things where we might buy tickets to a cultural show or take people to a movie, to some other things like that we call support programming, helping people make sure that they are building out a successful plan for studying for finals, or working on financial literacy or networking, things like that. And we also have lots of just casual hangouts where people can be in community with each other, get some great snacks, relax, and connect with their peers. So Deneb really is an all-encompassing program that we are really excited to have on campus and to be able to offer as a support for you all. Is there anything I missed in there, Renee?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered a lot. If I think of anything, I'll get back to you though. Thanks, James.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mark, it's your turn. Would you mind talking a little bit about the areas that you supervise and how students utilize the services that your units provide, how you support students, particularly as they're developing their, continuing to advance and developing their identities?
Sure. So I'm going to talk about 3 different offices in my area. The first is the Office of International Students and Scholars. I know that we have several international students on this call, and I think it's important that you know that when you come to WashU, there's a lot of new. It's a new place, a new country, new cultural, ways of doing things or engaging with each other on campus. And so we do a lot of work to kind of prep you on that, in addition to the things you've probably already done, even visiting our country previously. But there's a lot of really awesome opportunities to engage with our staff and other students who jump into some leadership roles that have been here for a few years and kind of show you the ropes. The other office that I think is really important for you to know about is the Office of Religious, Spiritual, and Ethical Life. Students come here with a wide range of interfaith backgrounds, but faith isn't the only way in which this office engages with you. There's an opportunity for you to think about some ethical questions about why we do things in our society. Why do we make choices to support or not support different communities in our community? And these are questions that I think students grapple with a lot while they're at WashU. And so this office has a fellows program in which students will engage in even more depth to take a project or an idea and work through that question with some peers, but also with experts from different interfaith communities, and also different experts who will help guide them through some of their ethical questions that they have for our campus. The third office is the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. In that office, what's really awesome about that space is that it's a space in which students come together and they are engaged in all kinds of questions about 3 different main areas I want to highlight. One is identity. That students come to college with a wide range of identities, and they're always trying to figure out what it is that they, why are they here? What are they trying to accomplish? And exploring. Hold on real quick. I'm going to come back. Can you come back to me real quick? I had something happen in the background here. I just want to make sure I fix it.
Sorry, I was on mute again. I don't know how long I've been using Zoom, but I inevitably start talking and I'm on mute. So my apologies. I'm going to jump to Dalen now. And Dalen, would you please reflect on your experience as a student and talk a little bit about general academic advising and Can you talk a little bit about how undergraduate students engage and interact with faculty?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think that I want to kind of start with how the advising system kind of impacts you as a student during your time at WashU. So one thing that WashU is really big on, that I'm sure if you all have attended any of our other webinars or plan on attending other webinars that you'll hear about, is our advising system that really works to cover kind of any advising needs you have. So you get a 4-year advisor, you get a major and minor advisor for as many majors and minors as you have. If you study abroad, you get an advisor there as well. And if you, and obviously you have kind of residential advisors, so you have RAs and you have that system also. There's pre-professional advisors. So essentially there's advising for just about any kind of area or focus that you could think of at WashU, but that really kind of impacts you as a student in kind of varying ways. So I got really close with my 4-year advisor. She was the one kind of helping me through WashU, helping me decide on my academic interests, and helping me kind of be sure to take classes that are hitting my major and minor requirements, while also still being able to explore just a broad range of topics. And that connection really kind of helped me figure out the college course system. Coming from a high school that we didn't have a ton of prep on how college courses work, on how college credits work, on how that type of stuff. And I'm still really close to my 4-year advisor. Actually, I'm supposed to get dinner with her and my brother at some point in the next couple of weeks. So that's awesome. But you, in your major and minor advisor, also do a lot of that same work. So they can help you figure out kind of your course schedule, course structure, what classes would kind of fit best for you. And sorry, Renee, what was the second part, past advisors, that you had asked about?
No, I asked you to give an overview about advisors, which I did, and then how you engaged with faculty as an undergraduate.
Right, engaging with faculty. So I think that one thing that WashU does extremely well is push its students to and give opportunities for its students to form kind of connections with faculty. And that is across divisions, across disciplines, across majors. And again, I'm going to speak from my own experience. I got really, really close with, I was an African and African American Studies major at WashU, and I got extremely close with the faculty in that department. They really helped me, not just academically, but also helped me through kind of when classes could get challenging, or when I kind of felt bogged down with various clubs and athletics and different things that I was involved in. They kind of helped me figure out that path. And I remember sitting in my major advisor, Professor Fenderson's office, and talking to him about kind of an idea that I had for a project, and him helping me build it out, helping me kind of build the type of research that I wanted to do while still keeping the project focused on kind of my area and still giving me the reins and the control to kind of steer this project how I wanted to. And that's how I ended up building out a senior capstone project, something that I didn't come into college thinking I was going to do, didn't really think that I was going to do kind of a big senior thing at the end of my career at any point in college. And kind of that support is what allowed me to even finish that during COVID, and having spending the second half of my senior year at home. So WashU really does give you opportunities and urges its students to form those deep connections with faculty, and there's definitely space and time to do that.
Thanks, Dalen. Appreciate it. Let's go back to Mark. I think Mark wants to talk a little bit more about his units, and we've seen some of the questions in the chat, and I think Mark may answer a few of those questions related to diversity and inclusion.
Yes, sorry about that. I'm actually excited to see some of these questions here in our chat about DE&I on our campus, which is the acronym that we use here at Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and thinking about how our students engage in that work. And so here we think about identity as an area in which students find spaces in their student organizations, and also through programming that we host throughout the year that highlight experts from across the country. What's awesome about a place like WashU is that most of us have been educated at a number of other institutions as well. And our colleagues are experts across the country, and they come here and they talk about their research and their experiences, their books. And some of these people you'll have seen on television or on news channels, or like they're called on as experts across the country. And they come to our campus and our students get one-on-one opportunities to have these deep conversations, not just with our faculty who are also called upon as experts across the country, but also with folks from everywhere else. And I think that's what is really unique about students who are developing their identity on campus, about what's it like to be a person of color? What's it like to be a mixed race person? What's it like to engage in a new space where your identity may have been developed and understood at your high school or in your family or in your home community, but now you're in St. Louis and you're in another place and it's defined differently, and kind of negotiating that conversation. As a part of that, we talk about education and how important that is. And so that's why we do these other programs. So that's the second part. And the third piece is advocacy. Once students are here, all of our students have this one thing in common. They want to change the way our world is. They want to change their communities. They want to change even Wash U and how we engage with them. And so they become extraordinary advocates. And so in our space, we aim to create opportunities for them to learn from our time when we were students, and also wanting to advocate for change in our spaces and in a new era, right, in which they're engaging and using tools that are transformative both in virtual spaces and in person. And so, and the language in which we use to communicate with each other has shifted over time. But if we sit together and have those conversations, that the impact of those dialogues are extraordinary. And so a lot of those conversations happen in the CDI, in the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. And they also happen in the women's building on our campus, where James Schisler's student success programs are. And also upstairs in that building, where there's different suites that are designated to student identities, and all over campus. And so anyway, I'm excited about the work and how we do it and how our students engage in it. And it's evolving. It's always evolving. Our college campuses are always shifting. And so when you come here, you help us evolve, shift, and change as you develop the skills to do that once you leave here.
Thanks, Mark. You get so animated and so excited when you talk about the work of the CDI and how you work with students. And I just want to echo, in my experience, not only are the students at WashU talented, bright, hardworking, but they really do want to learn how to change the world and make this world a better place. And I just love being on a campus where we have students who are just so creative and interested and work so hard to contribute positively to the world. So thank you for that. Okay, so you all have heard a lot from us, and the chat, the Q&A is blowing up a little bit. So I am going to transition and get to some of the questions that are in the Q&A box. And I think I'll start with a question that was put in pretty early, and this may be for Dalen or for James, but what are your favorite WashU traditions or community building activities?
I can get started with that. A couple things come to mind. One WashU thing that it's not so much a tradition, it's a program that I think is really helpful for a lot of students, is the freshman focus or first year focus programs. Those are small group programs where they are focused on a single issue, and it's designed to bring together students who are interested, who have a common passion. Those are a really great nexus of connection and community building for a lot of students. And a lot of students tend to enjoy those. In terms of other traditions, one that comes to mind is the midnight breakfast. I think that got stopped for COVID, but I think that's on its way back, where at some point in the finals time of each semester, there is at between like 10 p.m. and midnight, staff and faculty volunteers are around to us in the dining hall to help serve a free buffet type meal and various things for students who are all busy studying for finals and working really hard. And it's just a good chance to take a breath, see some smiling faces, and also get some free food.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to work the breakfast one year, and that was a lot of fun. I can't wait for it to come back. Dalen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that one of my favorite traditions on campus was something that was a little less, or I guess a little bit more formal. It's kind of a known campus tradition, but that was the different cultural shows that take place on campus. And I think that some of my favorites like to go to were like Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and like the African fashion show, or two that always come to mind. But the cultural shows at WashU, if you haven't heard it before, are just different shows done by different cultural student affinity groups. And there are multiple that go on throughout the year. I can't even list all of them, but they really just do an incredible job of showcasing different aspects of different people's cultures from around the world. And there's always a nice inclusion of dialogue around these different cultural aspects. It's never just you're going somewhere to watch something. There's always a description or an explanation of why this is significant or important, or kind of where this specific aspect of the show was coming from. I was a part of the African fashion show while I was at WashU for like 3 out of my 4 years. And there was always a description of where did these fashions come from? Where did these dances come from? Where did this music come from? And that starting that type of dialogue was something that was always really, really cool to see.
Thanks, Dalen. I want to follow up because there's another question, and you started to get at this. But are there clubs available for students to express their identity on campus? And so, Dalen, if you want to start, and Mark, if you want to add anything, feel free.
Yeah, so the clubs that I just mentioned were the cultural affinity groups. And these are, clubs where students can go to find kind of that community amongst people who share kind of their own cultural and ethnic identity. So the question asked, like, for example, a Black Student Union, and WashU has Association of Black Students, or ABS. And there's also like African Student Association. There's the Korean Student Association. There's the Association of Latin American Students, amongst a ton of others. That's one of the things that's really driving at WashU, I think, is the different cultural groups and all the different things they do on campus, even outside of the cultural shows, even just the community building and team building work that they do. And the programming that a lot of them have hosted together is also really, really cool.
I think there are 2 questions I wanted to respond to here. The first is that we are growing our LGBTQIA+ support team within the CDI. We have an associate director who's been leading that effort for the past 5 years or so. But in addition, we're currently hiring a coordinator to support this particular identity community. But I wanted to also highlight one of our programs. It's called Destination Q, and it's a program that happens first couple days or 2 days in the first couple weeks of school, and they just had one. I think they had this event I think last weekend, and this year was a little unique because of COVID. The Tower Grove Pride was postponed till the fall. I actually thought it was an awesome opportunity. So what we did was we had students come on Friday, and Friday afternoon and evening, they had panels and breakout groups, and an opportunity for students to kind of connect with other students with shared experiences and kind of create a support network there. And Saturday morning, breakfast, more panels and programs and activities. They all got their Destination Q shirts. They all got on a bus and they went down to Tower Grove Pride. And I think one of the great comments that I heard from that event was when students walked off the bus, they were like, oh, this is home. This is a place that sees me for who I am. and I can be engaged here and not be concerned about, like, is someone going to judge me? And they're with all these other students from WashU who also were supportive of them. And I thought that was awesome. And so that's a program that I really encourage students to attend and be a part of. And we're also going to grow that program to have, I don't know what we're going to call the next group, but we're going to have Destination Q for students who are coming in, but then like some senior students who are going to get trained to become student leaders, mentoring program. The other question here was about volunteering in the WashU, at WashU or like surrounding community. And I think that one of the things you'll find at WashU is never a shortage of opportunities to engage in the community or volunteer or get involved in that kind of work. This past, and then we always have all these other new opportunities. And one of the things that came out of our office, at least this past year, was we got a grant for students to become vaccine, what do we call it? Like ambassadors, right? And so, we have a storm in St. Louis right now, so a little bit of thunder in the background. But that students were going out all over. This has happened over the summer, and they were able to do work in their own home communities and here in St. Louis. And then they partnered together and have started to do some work over the last couple months here in St. Louis by partnering up with nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. And then we have a whole center dedicated to public service, the Gephardt Center. And so I encourage you to take a look at that center as well. But a lot of our student organizations have different philanthropy engagement and service engagement opportunities as well.
And if I could jump in, one more thing about this. In addition to all the great clubs that are already there, WashU students can start their own clubs. If you think that a campus is missing something, there is support for you to be able to make sure that that's present and to find your people and to form a connection with those other people too.
Thank you all. I really appreciate that thorough response. I have a question for James, and it is specifically about, I lost it. It's about international students. Do we offer scholarships and financial aid for international students?
That answer is yes, Renee. We do offer scholarships. So international students can apply for need-based financial aid. And then also some of the merit scholarship programs are open to international students. And the deadlines, if you just click on admissions.wustl.edu and financial aid, that'll get you started on finding the deadlines and the rest of the path that you have to follow for applying for those.
Thanks, James. There's a question here about pre-med and if there is pre-med advising. And absolutely, I'm going to take this one to be quick. We have incredible advising, as you heard from Dalen and James earlier, but we also have pre-professional advisors that help our students who are interested in going to medical school or law school, help you to navigate that process and to help support you throughout your undergraduate education so that you're best prepared to get into those pre-professional programs. So lots of support and advising there. I want to jump to a question. It says, this is for Dalen. Is there anything that you learned about WashU or activities at WashU that you did not know before you attended college? Is there anything you would change or mistakes that you made that would help incoming first-year students to stay away from or take advantage of? If you need a second to think about that, because that's a really intense question. All right.
I guess I can start with the first part about if there was anything that I learned about WashU or activities that I didn't know about before college. And I think I came into WashU with an idea of what college was, with an idea of what types of clubs could be offered in college. But I didn't do a whole lot of research into what specific variety of clubs does WashU offer. I came in kind of blind, just kind of wanting to feel my way through and then see what popped up. So that, and that kind of leads into the second part of the question, was I then went to the activities fair and signed up for everything and ended up with just like I don't know, 10, 15 different clubs that I was on like email lists for and trying to go to meetings for, and it's not happening. So I think that while it is important to explore around your first year, my bit of advice would be, once you kind of have an idea of what clubs you want to join, what student groups you want to be a part of, what type of volunteer service work and outreach work you want to do in St. Louis, then kind of latch onto that and focus on that. And I ended up really, really enjoying, by the time I was a senior, I was actively involved in outside of athletics, maybe like 2 or 3 clubs on campus. And even though that number was lower than kind of what I started with, I was able to really kind of focus on those groups, focus on those organizations, and really end up being parts of like different exec boards and different things. So I would say that would be probably my biggest advice for like incoming first years, or like me during my first year, would be to take advantage of the opportunities, of the breadth of opportunities, but also don't be afraid to be like, okay, this is my thing. This is my identity. This is what I feel like is important to me, and kind of hone in on that.
Thanks, Dalen. That was great. Really was very, very thoughtful. We have a question about housing. Describe housing at WashU and how are students assigned roommates. James, is that something you want to tackle? James S.
Sure, I can talk about that. So I spent 2 years as an RA when I was a student here, and the housing assignment cycle is first in your incoming in your first year. I believe you still have the option of pairing up with someone. So if among admitted students, there's always conversations on Facebook groups of like trying to find people to pair yourself with. For most people though, enter into random and allow the Office of Residential Life to randomly assign them. Those assignments are based off of a questionnaire that students complete, asking for their preferences in various different aspects. Things like, do you prefer your room to be warmer or colder? Are you more of an early riser or a night owl? And things like, what type of room would you prefer to be in? Rank these different choices. They put all that data together, crunch the numbers, and then put together people in the space that is going to be the best for the most people. Most people tend to have pretty good luck with that, and it weeds out some of the most obvious conflict points and makes it a little bit easier to have things go well for you. That's how housing is assigned your first year. After that, most students are able to find groups for their dorms and do that outside of the process. You can go through a similar randomly assigned process each year of your time in undergrad when you're living with residential life.
Hey, Dalen, is there anything else special about housing at WashU that you might want to share with our audience?
I think just that there are a lot of different options for housing at WashU, especially as you get into like your junior, senior year. So yeah, all first year students are required to live in the South 40, which is where a lot of our underclassmen live, students who live there their second year. But I know that I had a lot of friends who then started looking for housing in like the Village, which is our upperclassmen housing. It's kind of directly on the other side of campus from the South 40. Or there's like WashU owned housing that's off campus. So people would live near like Del Mar Loop, or people would live or people would choose to go completely away from WashU housing. And I know that I had a bunch of teammates who pooled their money, rented a house on Forsyth, and I know that that's something a fair amount of people do too. So just that there's lots of different options for housing at WashU, and there's space to find what kind of fits you, what would best kind of add to your own student experience.
One of the other cool things that I like about our housing is that we have a faculty fellows program where, particularly in where our first year students are living in the South 40, we have faculty who live on campus with their families, live in the residence halls, and engage with students and support students throughout that year. And I think it's a great way for entering students to connect with a faculty member in a more informal way. So it's another wonderful thing about our housing. see, we've got some other questions here. Trying to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, here's a question. Would you describe the culture at WashU as competitive or collaborative? Who wants to jump in and take that question?
I've been talking a lot. Oh, go ahead, Dalen. I saw you unmuted.
I was going to say the same thing that I just finished talking, but I can jump in on this one. So I would definitely describe the culture of WashU as more collaborative, kind of regardless of division or major pre-professional focus. There's the idea of WashU of every student wanting to do well, but all students wanting to not only help each other do well, but there's also just a sharing of knowledge that I think is really, really interesting. And it was always fun to like sit down and have conversations with. I wasn't pre-med and I wasn't in the business school or anything like that, but I still sat down and had conversations with friends about what they were learning and what they were doing. So it's really cool to see people that have that passion to talk about class outside of the classroom and to share ideas like that. So yeah, I would say that WashU is definitely more collaborative in a lot of different ways.
And I would add, even to the extent where I've never seen students acting like they're in competition with each other, even where game theory might tell you like it's in their best interest. Even if you've got a group of students who are all applying for the same really selective program, often, normally, even those students will exchange their essays and look over each other's applications and help each other put together the best package they can. And things like that, where everyone's really trying to help the people around them do their best. And they know that they can rely on the people around them to help them do their best too. It goes both ways.
Thanks. I think that's a really important quality to highlight about WashU and our community, our culture, and our students. They are, in my view, very collaborative. So we are beginning to run out of time, and I'm trying to see if there are a couple of questions. James, here's a quick question. I hope it's quick about financial aid. Does financial aid vary year to year according to parents' income? And what can be done for students whose, we've sort of answered the 70, what can be done for students whose parents make 75 plus 75K, more than 75K, but the student is paying for their own college?
So a few things. I mean, in my experience, most students, what they start off with in terms of financial assistance 4 years down the road, that is probably what they're going to still have with a little bit of increase each year, assuming their information on their FAFSA is similar. So meaning income can go up or down, maybe plus or minus 10K, and you're still going to have the same award. If a family has some big changes, let's say you started off with 3 in college and you drop down to 1, well, that is a big change. And so your award could change. Or it goes the other way. You start off with 1 in college and you add a sibling, that's a big change. So then more aid would be added in. If you kind of want to explore some what ifs, a good resource that I like to use is I would just Google College Navigator and then look for the net price calculator of the school. And you can spend about 10 minutes and it will give you exactly what the financial aid package will look like for that institution.
Thank you. Thank you, James. There's one more question that I want to see if we can get through pretty quickly, and it's about the location of WashU, like where are we located? Can you describe the area that we're in? And do students take advantage of being in the St. Louis area, and are they involved and in the resources of the city as well as campus? Anybody can take that. Mark, Dalen, James, I know you all feel like you've been talking a lot, but the audience really wants to hear from you. They don't really want to hear from me. You all are more credible as alums of WashU.
Well, I can get started. I would say campus is near a lot of resources within St. Louis. One of the most notable is Forest Park, which is right by campus, and I believe is the largest urban park in the nation. And lots of students use that all the time. It's an incredibly cool place to have to be able to walk into. If you need a breather, you need to just kind of get to a different place sometimes, see some green. It's a really, really good thing for that. As Dalen mentioned, campus also isn't far from the Del Mar Loop, which has a variety of restaurants and places for people to go and hang out and pass the time on a weekend, stuff like that. And another way that WashU is tied into the St. Louis community is through the MetroLink. Every student receives a free Metro Pass, and there's 2 different Metro stops on campus where students can hop on and go to different places in the city. And that's a really, really helpful thing that honestly WashU students probably could use even more and get more out of, but is definitely there for people. In terms of involvement with the city, that definitely depends. There are people who live their entire time at WashU within WashU and not so much outside of campus in my experience. But for those students, there's also a lot of other people who are actively involved in finding a community in St. Louis that they feel a part of and making that happen, whether that's based on where they're living with like a neighborhood association or something, or finding an organization that they want to volunteer with or a group they want to be a part of.
Thank you. I have one last question for each of the panelists. Someone put this, asked this question. I thought it was a really great question. What is your favorite part about WashU? Is it the food, the campus beauty, sports? What's your favorite part about WashU? And I'm going to start with James McDonald, then Mark, then James S. and Dalen. You can have the last word.
So I'm going to say I think it's WashU's ability to connect people to each other and connect students to the community. And one thing that's unique, I believe WashU is one of only 2 colleges that actually houses a YMCA branch on campus, and they are immensely involved in the community and do a ton of programs. So I'm going to leave it at that, connecting individuals with one another.
I'm going to say that for us and what I've observed in my time here, and also before I got here, was the aspiration for change. That our students have and alumni have aspired for change, and that everywhere they go, that they are influencing that change, whether it's on campus, in our office, or in a department, or in a community organization, or even in their first job in their career. They're already facilitating change. And I'll just share a real quick story of that. This weekend, I was at an event. I met with a father of an alum, and who was talking about how his daughter was already using the things that she learned at WashU to transform the office that she was working in, and got promoted because of the things that she was applying that she learned on our campus. That is what we do, and that's what you will do if you come to this campus and get exposed to what we have to offer. So I'll leave it there.
For me, it's the people. It's, that is where that collaborative culture comes from, that connects to what Dr. Kamimura Jimenez was saying about how everyone is aspiring to change things and make things better. But it's really about the people, the types of conversations you can have, the types of connections you can make, and the impact that your peers can have on you. It's really profound and amazing. And that's something that has only, my admiration and understanding of that's only continued to grow as I've stuck around and seen more and more classes of students. It wasn't just they caught lightning in a bottle once. It's that the admissions team does this year after year. And the students are really, really amazing. And hopefully you all get to be a part of that.
I can close us out. I think I'm going to focus on kind of the location of WashU. I think being in St. Louis, the city, is one of my favorite parts about WashU and about being here. And then it's a city that's just a mosaic of neighborhoods, and each one has its own different history, its own different feel, its own different background, its own different impression. And being in a place where you can go to like the Griot Museum, you can go to the Hill, and you can go to Tower Grove, you can go to like the Soulard neighborhood in the surrounding area, and you're getting all of this history, this background, this knowledge, and being in spaces where you have people from so many different backgrounds with so many different opinions on the city, with so many different kind of feelings about either living here, growing up here, and just being able to listen to all of that, and learn from all of that, and take all of that in. So yeah, I'd say that St. Louis itself is probably my favorite part of WashU.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I want to just say ditto to all that my colleagues said, but I also want to add that we have one of the most beautiful campuses in the United States. So we have all of this together. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are really looking forward to getting to know your students through the application process. We are here for you. We'll share as much information as we can throughout the process. It's our goal to help you, support you, and make that application process as transparent and easy as possible. One way that we do that is each prospective student has been assigned an admission officer as well as a financial aid officer who will serve as great resources for answering any questions that you have. Feel free to email your admissions officers at admissions@wustl.edu if we didn't get to all of your questions, but you can also find your individual admissions officer on our website as well. And please reach out to us. We are here. It's our job to give you the information so that you can make the best decision for yourself about where to apply and where to enroll. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. Take care.